good evening, everyone. Our Facebook live stream is coming up as we speak. We are live on Facebook. Can we chat now? Can we chat now? It's starting right now. So we want you to join in on the chat. I am Sheila Abram, and I am joined by my co-host, and let me put my microphone here. I am joined by my co-host, Mrs. Maxine Jones. Good evening, Mrs. Jones.
Good evening, Ms. Sheila Abram. Good evening, Facebook friends and guests. And it's Can We Chat Here? She likes to change the name, but it's Can We Chat Here?
Yeah. Did I say Can We Chat now?
Yes. We're human. And Can We Chat Here? It's about our stories, about our journeys. It's about where we want to go. And this week's topic is about the power of a mentor.
And you know what, Maxine? When we decided that we had to do the power of a mentor, I was so excited because I have had some mentors that have just changed the trajectory of my life. I really have. I mean, a real powerful mentor, it's life-changing. But what I want to do before I tell my story, I want you to tell yours first. I want you to talk about your mentor and how it's changed your life, or your mentor has changed your life.
Well, first of all, I actually I wasn't mentored until I retired.
Sorry, I'm trying to monitor. No, that was monitoring Facebook as
well. Okay. So I really wasn't mentored until I retired. I was inspired by a lot of people, but I absolutely was not mentored. In the workforce, they want you to do certain things and be a certain way. And mentoring was not there, So I didn't become mentored until I retired. And actually, until I got into Wealth Builders Worldwide. And two of my mentors, the first one was Mr. Rodney Berger, and the second one actually was you. And Mr. Berger, we do what we have, it's called the Power Call, which is motivational, inspirational, little educational as well. And that's Monday through Saturday. It's daily in the morning. And Mr. Rodney Berger, we used to do a call together in the evening. I'm on his team. And he inspired me to kind of, to be his sidekick and kind of co-host the call with him. And I did that, reluctantly, but he saw my potential and he believed in me. And then it went to the next level to you, Ms. Sheila Abram. And you pushed, actually. And a mentor does that. A mentor will see the potential in you that sometimes you do not see yourself, or you don't have the courage actually to step out there. So Sheila saw that in me, and so we started doing a Saturday call. I was her Saturday sidekick. So
actually, I think I was your side. I think I was your sidekick. I took second chair.
She did. She took second chair. But let me tell you, this lady was so formidable. So when I first met her, it was like, oh God, Sheila Abram, So because she just had that stature about her, So we started a Saturday co-hosting, and I was comfortable with that. I was comfortable, and I had to learn the different platforms. I had to learn how to host this call. And I know at the beginning I was hesitant. It didn't flow right, and the leaders really, they encouraged, they saw that in me that I could do it, but I didn't feel that I could do it. I mean, my first time on the call, I was stammering and I was, my heart was racing. It was like, oh God, they can hear my heart, that type of thing. But she saw that. And one day she says to me, okay, because, this took, weeks into months. And she said, all right, you got this. And I'm like, no, I don't. She said, you do not need me. You could do this call by yourself. And I'm thinking, no, I can't. But she said, listen, you can do this all by yourself. You don't need me anymore. You don't need a sidekick. You are ready and you are able. And she said, I'll be on the console. I'll be a backup if anything happens, but you got this. So my first time, she was there, and I knew that she had my back. And that was so important for me. And that was encouraging. And, you're like doing your little wings, you're jumping out there and you got to fly. And I think it was 1 or 2 times down the line, something happened. And I wasn't sure what to do. And I remember Mr. Tyrone Bass wanted to help and Mr. Michael Delco wanted to help, but they stopped. They actually stepped back and let me kind of figure it out myself. And that's truly a mentor as well, because you get to a certain point where, you don't need the hand holding anymore and you have to figure it out yourself. Otherwise, you'll never grow. And she's been my mentor, my friend, as Mr. Rodney Berger was, and they just continually push me to the next level, to the next level, to the next level. I cannot believe that I'm co-hosting the Can We Chat here. It's not just about Can We Chat here. We're sitting here live, talking to globally to people. And that's because of the belief of a mentor that saw the potential in me. And I say kudos to anyone who is a mentor, because it's a great responsibility. It is. It's a great responsibility. And what I like about the fact that when you're mentored, you have to pay it forward. Then you go and mentor someone as well. So Ms. Abram, I absolutely adore you and, no longer scared of you.
See, I have mentors and I've definitely, I've had mentors and I have them presently now. But what I want to do is I want to talk just a little bit. And for one, don't you love this platform? I'm here in still sunny California on the West Coast. And you are in
a rainy New York on the East Coast. She used to say sunny California in the morning. I wanted to choke her.
But anyway, what I want to do is I want to talk about my first experience with an actual mentor. I had decided, my daughter was a teenage actress and she was then getting ready to go to college at this point. Oh, well, no, she wasn't ready to go to college at this point, but she was going to go, but she hadn't gone yet. And we knew her acting career was going to come to a close because she really wanted to concentrate on school. She wanted to concentrate on college. So my stage mom job was going away. So I started a business in 2006, a medical billing service. And then I thought, you know what? I didn't necessarily like working with doctors. I just didn't. And my middle son, Eric, had a friend who had a home health agency. And I knew he was very successful. So I said, you know what, Eric, arrange a meeting. I want to meet with him. I want to do a home health agency. I want him to tell me how he did it. So he arranged the meeting and we met at Starbucks. And this individual said, I understand you want to open up a home health agency. Are you a nurse? And I'm like, no. He says, well, you must be a nurse or be partnered with a nurse. He said, however, there's a new class of agency just last year. So you would be amongst the first in California called personal care agencies. You will have no nurses. Your caregivers will do no medical tasks, only caregiving, helping with the activities of daily living. He says, I don't know a lot about it. I do know it's going to take a lot of the pressure off of us home health agencies because we don't want to have to send a nurse out to the client to wash the client's hair. That's what a caregiver does, all those non-medical things. So he says, here's the website. This is the department you need to contact. This is your starting point. And see, for me, the kind of person that I am, all you had to do was point me in the right direction. Okay. And we had decided we were going to meet every month so that I could go over some things that I felt were roadblocks. You know, how did he get around it? Because some of the things were similar with a home health agency versus a personal care agency. We did have some similar challenges. So we started meeting monthly, and he would say, okay, you're doing great. I can't believe you passed that hurdle that fast. And the agency got up and running. Then it got to the point we only needed to meet on a quarterly basis. I was off and running. I was off and running so well that he decided he was going to open up a personal care agency, and he was my competitor. He had his home health agency.
He did too well.
Then he became my competitor. But we still, let me tell you something, there are enough clients to go around, unfortunately. So I didn't look at it as he was my competitor. You know, he was my mentor. He put me in that path. So then we advanced to making the agency, our meetings twice a year. So we had our meeting, and now, mind you, I started the agency in 2006, and we are now in 2012. And we were having our meeting. And he would always tell me a little bit about, you know, his business, because he had a mid 7-figure home health agency. He did very well. I had from starting from scratch, from breaking ground, by 2012, had gotten to pretty much 6 figures with my agency, and he was very impressed. Actually, at that date, my agency was still higher in revenue than his personal care agency.
Okay.
You know, so he would kind of ask me some policies and procedures and what was I doing, you know, that he could kind of tweak some things up. Mm-hmm. Well, it was time for us to have our meeting. And he says, okay, Miss Abram, where are we going to meet? And I said, well, our Starbucks, our usual place. And it was down the street from where I lived. You know, I lived in an apartment, a 3-bedroom apartment. It was across the street from a high school. My sons went to school right across the street at the high school. So it was really convenient. Now, my daughter, she went to a performing arts school. So she didn't go where my sons did. So he got to the meeting, and we went over some figures. And this is 2012. And at this point, I had a physical office that was 2,500 square feet. And I got that lease like in January 2009. And we're in 2012. So I had that office for 2 years at that point. He had been to my office, and I was getting ready to start a nonprofit organization. And I was thinking of getting another office, a smaller office, to keep the businesses separate. So we were kind of going over things, and he had this puzzled look on his face. And he says, actually, he called me Miss Sheila. He was younger than me, but he just had this whole respect thing. And he goes, Miss Sheila, I have a question for you. And I said, what? He said, are you still living down the street? And I looked at him. I said, well, yeah. And I've been there for 18 years. Ooh. And he looked at me, and he kind of looked down at the papers, like at the numbers we were going over. And he looked up at me, and he goes, why are you still living in a 3-bedroom apartment, making the kind of revenue you're making?
Time for you to move.
He says, you're sitting here talking to me about getting a second office for another building, yet you're still living in a 3-bedroom apartment. And I looked up at him. I said, well, I'm comfortable there. You know, I'm like, get out of my Kool-Aid. I'm comfortable there, you know. But once again, see, the power of a mentor. Mm-hmm. He looked at me and he said, Miss Sheila, you're not comfortable there. You're complacent there.
That's the word.
And when he said that to me, I sat back in my chair. Mm-hmm. He says, I'm going to tell you how you're complacent. He says, all the years we've been working together, having our meetings, you never once said you wanted to have a meeting at your place. Never once. He says, how many times do you even have people over? And I said, well, I mean, I don't really. My business is solitary. I'm not an open, and I'm still not. Trust me. I'm not.
No,
Do not drop into my house. Don't do it. But anyway,
don't do it.
So he says, and it's not that your place is embarrassing, because it wasn't. Trust me. He said, but you know you don't belong there. He said, that was fine when you were a single mother raising your children. Mm-hmm. When they went to the high school across the street. He said, but your youngest two are in college now. You don't, he says, and here's the thing. He says, one reason why you have to move. If you don't move, your income is going to stagnate. This is the largest your agency is going to be. He said, because that apartment is keeping a ceiling on you. It's making you not want to try any harder. It's making you not want to get any more clients. It's making you not want to succeed. And I looked at him. He says, we got to get you out of this environment and it's going to soar. And I looked at him. He says, okay, look, this is what we have to do. Let's set a budget right now. And at that point, my rent, because I've been there for 18 years, cheapest rent in the whole complex, you know, it was like $1,280 a month, right? And he says, how much do you feel you could pay for rent without not being able to pay it, you know? Mm-hmm. How much can you pay?
Stretching yourself. Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, goodness, I'm paying 12 now. I said, I probably could pay, I don't know, maybe 2. So he looked at me, he goes, great, your budget is $2,700. And I'm thinking, oh my God, $2,700? That means, okay, and in my mind, trust me, my mind was already calculating how many more clients I needed to pick up to comfortably
cover that $2,700.
He goes, okay, where do you want to live? I said, well, I love Porter Ranch. I mean, I raised my children in a very affluent neighborhood in Northridge. Mm-hmm. Okay. I said, I want to stay in this neighborhood. He goes, okay, give me your iPad. He downloaded an app. Mm-hmm. He says he put in the specifications. He put my rent that I wanted to pay in the app. He says, now you're going to start getting notifications. I said, okay. You can start seeing the uncertainty because I plan everything. Okay. And he says, when do you feel you can move? And I said, well, this is March. I'm thinking I've been here 18 years. I feel I should be able to move by about September. Mm-mm. And he looked at me, he goes,
that's too far out. Too far out.
He said, September. He said, you do understand all the good rental properties are going to come up in the summertime, right? Mm-hmm. Because people are moving. They want to get their kids settled in that perfect school or that school. That's when they make their changes. He said, September, you're going to miss everything. And he looked at me. He says, I know you. You can get this done by June. And I looked at him. I said, you want my life to change by June? He goes, you could do it. You can do it. And I said, well, okay, I guess I can do it. So I left the meeting in my mind saying, oh my God, I'm going to move. Hadn't moved in 18 years. So I went to the school, the college to pick up my son because it was a rainy day and he didn't ride his bike. My daughter drove, but Stephen, he rode a bike. This college was like 6 blocks up the street. It was perfect, right? Mm-hmm. And I picked him up and he got in the car and he says, how did your meeting go? Because he knew I was having the meeting with my mentor. And he said, I'm complacent. And Stephen looked at me like, you? I said, I couldn't believe it. He said, I'm complacent. I said, so we're moving. And he said, all he'd known is that apartment. When I moved in 1994, he was only 2 years old. All he knew was that apartment.
That's how you drop that on her. So we're moving.
So my daughter got home from school because they both had Saturday classes. So when she got home later, she goes, "Hey, how did your meeting go?" And I said, "Stephen beat me to the chase. We're moving, Destiny." And she said, "Wait a minute. What?" He said, and I'm not saying his name because he's a very private individual, so I'm just not going to say his name, my mentor. He said, "Mom's complacent and we have to move. And we have to move by June." My daughter stood there and just started crying.
Oh, gosh.
Because part of it was she really wanted to move.
Mm-hmm.
But the other part was this is the only place she knew.
Yeah.
So I showed her the app, and this is a Saturday, showed her the app. She was on that app all day Sunday. By Monday, she had 3 places for us to look at.
Mm-hmm.
I made the appointments with the 3. We only saw 2. That's all we needed. I picked that one right then.
Mm-hmm.
Put an offer in. We had that locked in within 2 weeks. And that because it was the end of March when I had my meeting. So now we're in April. But I told the owners, I said, "Look, I have to give notice where I'm at. I play by the rules."
Yeah.
Okay. I have to give a 30-day notice. So the soonest I can be in is June 1st.
But that's better than September.
Yeah. And what I liked is I had very specific things,
Mm-hmm.
it had to be a corporate lease. It had a lot of things, and they agreed to all of it. Because that was one of the things he says, "Okay, look, make sure it is a corporate lease. Your corporate needs to be providing housing for the president and all of that kind of great stuff." So they met all of my needs. And Maxine, we were moved by June 1st.
Wow.
I went on and picked up 4 more clients.
See?
Because
You see?
at that point, I love the house.
Complacent.
I love the house. Now the whole thing about I don't want to lose this kicked in.
Yeah. That mentor changed your mindset.
Yeah. And,
So
and
that's what they do.
I never understood that 3-bedroom apartment it just kept me right here. And I was never, ever going to go any further than that.
Sheila, it actually clamped your vision.
Yeah.
It really did, because you couldn't see any further than that. You couldn't see how far you actually could go.
The only thing that mentor lacked was he never recommended I really read books. Because opening up, see, I'm a state agency.
Mm-hmm.
I had to read a lot of state rules, I had a lot of things I had to know about, keep up on, and do. So therefore, he never really recommended that I read books. But one of the weird things was Les Brown was one of his mentors. I can remember one of the meetings we had, we're sitting at Starbucks, all of a sudden, because his phone is down on the table, and it rings.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you are. When people's phone is on the table facing up and it rings, that means you're supposed to look at the caller ID too. They have it up. So I look and it said Les Brown.
Mm-hmm.
There's a million Les Browns out there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he goes, "1 moment, I gotta take this." And I said, "Okay."
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "Hey Les, how you doing?" And he's talking. He goes, "Wait a minute, you want me to fly where? Chicago?" And he goes, "You want me to speak?" I mean, it was just.
Mm-hmm.
So then he got off the phone. He goes, "Have you heard of Les Brown? He's a motivational speaker." I'm like, "Yeah, I've heard of Les Brown." He goes, "Oh, that was him. He wants me to fly to Chicago. He's doing a little workshop, and he wants me to present, on a certain topic. So I'll be flying to Chicago next month." And I was like, "Well, I didn't know you knew Les Brown." He goes, "Yeah." And he started naming a bunch of other people. See, millionaires tend to hang around other millionaires. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, that was my story on how a mentor, my first mentor, impacted my life dramatically. See, a mentor is not here to tell you you're the greatest, you're the best.
No.
let you fly by the seat of your pants.
Mhm.
A mentor is going to tell you the truth about yourself.
They
You know,
shape and they mold you, actually.
like
They
when
do.
you told your story about, you know, moderating on the power call, you were nervous. After every session, I would call you and say,
Yes,
okay,
we talk.
you did
Yes,
well. However,
yes, I remember those. Yes, that's right.
okay,
However, okay, here you could have done this
yep.
better, or at this point you should have done that. And it's like, yeah,
And you,
I forgot our critiquing sessions afterwards. How could I forget that? Well,
yeah. So
yeah.
anyway, but now what I want to talk about is our Can We Chat format. Our Can We Chat format is that we'll have at least one or two panelists with us. Now, we don't have a panelist today, not because we didn't have submissions. It was because they weren't mentor stories.
Right. They
See,
were inspirational stories.
they were inspirational stories. And I want everybody to kind of understand the difference between, I want you to understand or hear the definition of a mentor. And I really did some, because I'm like, well, wait a minute. That was an inspirational story, but yet the person never had any real contact with guiding the person, working with them. So one of the definitions that I pulled up, it says a mentor is a coach, a guide, a tutor, a facilitator, a counselor, a trusted advisor. A mentor is someone willing to spend his or her time and expertise to guide and develop another person. So the reason why we don't, and see, Miss Maxine, is either you're going to get a call from me or Miss Maxine Jones when you do a submission on the Can We Chat website, because I want to talk a little bit about your story. I want to hear, you know, what you want to talk about. And if it's quite not in line with the topic, then I'm not going to just throw people up there to throw them up there. You know, it's important. So what that led me back to, Miss Maxine Jones, is a lot of people don't have mentors.
Oh, no. Quite a few people don't have mentors.
They don't have mentors. And they feel they can't afford a mentor. They feel they cannot afford to be in the company of millionaires.
Yeah.
Now, before we talk about two mentors that we have in common,
Ooh.
I want to talk about how can you out there watching this live stream, this live Can We Chat on Facebook, how can you have Les Brown as one of your mentors? Miss Maxine Jones, you know where I'm going with this. Where am I going?
Books, 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 books. Ooh. I got
Laws of Success.
Yes. Now I got to show you
Let's start showing some
my
books.
favorites.
We're going to talk about those mentors.
One of the best mentors in the whole wide world, Mr. Tyrone Best and Miss Valerie Best. Woo.
Good mentors, most of them, most of your respected mentors, do you know they've all written books? Multiple books. Now let's start showing some of our books, Maxine.
Okay.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Yep.
This one here's his latest one.
Yep, got the latest one here.
So
Here we
if you
go.
want some great financial advice, start reading this mentor's books.
These two are phenomenal. They are so good.
Okay. Now, this one here, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I'm going to tell you a little story about that one.
Think and Grow Rich.
I have a different mindset.
It's the mindset.
Yep, it's a mindset. Okay. Oh, this one here. Brian Tracy, No Excuses. Okay. You want mentors.
This one of Mr. Tyrone Best's favorite. The Tipping Point. He said he reads anything by Malcolm Gladwell. This book is an eye-opener.
This one here, You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. And then we've got some people love Anthony Robbins.
Yes, Tony Robbins. And
I
this
think-
is
I think
Eric Worre.
he swore less when he was Anthony. I don't be
Yeah,
careful.
when he was Anthony, he
Careful,
couldn't swear. As Tony, woo, he cusses up a bit. And we both have this one here. Yes.
You know what? See,
We have to watch what we played with him on the power call. Because
exactly.
that man
Yeah.
cusses now.
We got to pre-screen some stuff. So here's the thing. I did not have any of these books
Neither did I.
until I became a part of Wealth Builders Worldwide.
Same with me, in all honesty.
Our mentor and senior partners, Ty and Valerie Best, stress reading books. It changed. See, if my mindset was caught in the ceiling, living in an apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I got out of that apartment, it made me work harder.
Mm-hmm.
It made me generate more income. And by the way, the revenue almost doubled. Not quite, but almost.
Right.
But I
you
hadn't
put
changed
yourself in that prison.
I had not changed my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't learned anything new,
Yeah.
you know.
You should be learning something new
So
every day, every week. You know,
I'm going to tell you what's so wonderful about having a male and female mentor. Now, I happened to saw when our mentor, Mr. Ty Best, got on this stream. So hopefully Val Best is on here too.
Yes. Oh, I hope
Otherwise, she'll get it on live stream.
we love you.
A male mentor versus a woman mentor to another woman.
Think differently.
We think differently.
We do.
Mr. Ty Best, I could call him with the exact same problem. And trust me, I do.
Mm-hmm.
And he gives me the solution from the male perspective. Now, funny thing is, he will tell me a story. They are great. You think Ty Best is a great storyteller. Valerie Best is wonderful.
I have to hear stories because I love his stories.
They shared the same story. I mean, they went through the same experiences. Just she went through them as his wife and he went through them as her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I'll hear it from him, and in my mind, I'm thinking,
yeah, okay, that's
I need a woman's advice here.
That's a guy's perspective.
So I will call her up and believe it or not. Val is on. Thank you, Val. And believe it or not,
Mm-hmm.
Valerie Best usually tells me the exact same story he did,
Mm-hmm.
but the perspective is different.
Yes.
And this one day, I'm going to tell you, I called her up. I was so upset because somebody, in the team was doing something they weren't supposed to do. And I'm just, what do I do about this? I see what's happening. It's not supposed to be happening. What do I do? And what I love about Valerie Best, she calms you down. She goes, okay, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Let me see if I get this straight. And she's going to repeat.
Tells the story back to you.
The problem to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's what she heard the problem to be. And I'm like, yes. What do I do about it? How do I change that?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, read How to Win Friends and Influence People.
You thought she's going to give you an answer.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Read.
You want me to read the book?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a problem. And she said,
you read.
listen, Miss Abram, you have to learn this. You cannot control what other people do. What you can control is how you react to it.
Your reaction. And
the only way you're going to change your reactions is she goes, I said, well, I have that book, because now I'm a
but
little.
you can read it.
I'm getting ready to call Ty Best back. Because at least.
And he would be going, Miss Abram.
Yes. So I said, I read it a year ago. She said, pull it off the shelf
Read it again.
and read it again. The only way you are going to grow as a leader is you need to learn how to deal with so many different kinds of people.
What does he tell us all the time? Leaders are readers.
Yeah.
All the time.
And you have had the privilege of talking to Mr. Tybest on the line, on the phone. You know, what type of advice is he giving you as a
Mr. Beth, he's just, I love the fact that he tells you the advice, but he tells it through stories. And his stories, some of them are so funny. They're really entertaining. And when you realize it after the fact that he's actually taught you something, got his point across, and got you on his side, agreeing with him by telling you a story. And it's just everyone loves to listen to him. I love his stories. I have been on the phone with him and talked for over an hour and just, chatting back and forth. And he would say, Maxine, such and such, this, and that. And I'm listening. I'm saying, yeah, that is true. But he'll be in Walmart, and he's in Walmart. He's out doing chores and things or something, for Miss Valerie Best. But he is always mentoring all the time. He's always advising. And it's just, we're so blessed. We're just basking in this because this man is just a visionary. He is a dream maker. And he has you catching that dream, that you could dream big and you could dream bigger. And when you think, I'm dreaming really big, he takes you to the next level. He'll come back and say, you know what? I was thinking, we're not doing enough of this. And it just talk about mentorship and leadership. Oh, we just got the absolute best. You have the Les Browns and all like that, whom I actually met. But there is only one Tyrone Best and Valerie Best.
And we're back to mentors. They're not going to always tell you what you want to hear.
No.
They're going to tell you what you need to go to the next level. Because, come on, I'm used to being the president of corporations. I'm used to being in charge. Okay. I mean, sometimes I can be a bit controlling, believe it or not.
I believe it.
And and I have said, especially, a newer moderator on the power call, I have said a few things that just weren't quite team building. I
watched Mr. Best change you as far as being a moderator on the call, because we have this thing, but we don't have it anymore. But we used to have this thing that if you talk too long, that we would Sheila Abram you.
Yes,
because she would
I'm
cut
glad
you
we
off.
stopped that.
Yeah. And I can hear Mr. Best go, Miss Abram. You got to give people time to talk. They need to tell their story. Sometimes you just can't cut them off,
But listen, so sometimes when I knew I really kind of wasn't in the wealth builder spirit on the call, see, you can expect a phone call from Mr. Ty Best, our mentor, my mentor, within about half hour of the call. Because he thinks about what he's going to say. He's always very mindful of how he says things to you. So every time, like my cell phone will be next to me, and every time it will ring, I'm kind of like, oh my God. And I'll peek to see. I know.
Is that Mr. Best? Is that Mr. Best?
I know it's coming, So, I mean, but it's exactly what was needed. And I mean, I'm leaps and bounds away from what I was. I still have a definite ways to go.
We are all a work in progress. Every last one of us.
And so what we want to do is we want to wrap up this session of Can We Chat Now? Because, we do this for a reason. The reason is, and we live stream this on Facebook, because there are a lot of people out there who wonder why their lives were never able to change. There are a lot of people out there. Mr. Ty Best has a wonderful saying where he says, if you want to put something in plain sight, put it in a book, because people aren't going to read it. Our mission at Wealth Builders Worldwide, and this is why we do this Facebook, we do it on Facebook. We are here to provide individuals worldwide with the tools required to enhance their lives,
achieve their dreams,
and build massive wealth.
dream big, really big.
So if you are looking for a family, if you are looking for an organization where not only do you have access to the mentors, you have access to people with stories. You know, with Can We Chat Here, some of the stories you're going to say that was me, or that is me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we want to hear your stories, but we want to make sure it's stories in line to what we're saying, because we have the answer. Tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific time, I will be presenting a live webinar. This webinar is going to explain the wonderful opportunity of what your big dreams, if you have a dream that's big enough. See, I had to get a big dream to truly change my life.
Mm-hmm.
I always, before Wealth Builders, I had a lot of goals. I would sit down and I would make my yearly goals, and I would always reach each and every goal. But when you thought about it, when I sat back and I learned about dreaming big, do you know I never had a dream?
Yeah.
I just set goals that I could accomplish every year, and I felt good. My revenue was up, but I never had that big dream that I was looking for, really trying to reach after. You're going to learn when you get involved with Wealth Builders Worldwide and Karatbars International why you should dream big. And we have the vehicle that's going to take you there. And I want to invite you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time to goldrocks.info. But I will be live streaming this on Facebook, because we're going to show you where you can have access to me, Miss Maxine Jones, Mr. Tyrone Best, Miss Valerie Best, and there is a whole host. I am looking at a host of leaders on Facebook. We have Miss Colette Jackson, Miss Kenny Brown, and Miss Maxine. Can you read off some names too? We have Mr. Reggie Scott, Sharon Vicks, Kenny Brown, Denawi. Get your glasses on. Go ahead.
Yes.
Miss Myrtle Placid.
Oh, Myrtle Placid.
Mr. Kenny Brown, Mr. Rodney Berger.
Oh, yeah. Woohoo. Rodney Berger. Yes.
Linda Kelly.
Sheila Brown.
Hello. Keep the faith. Let's go. Ooh.
Mr. Antoine Flippin.
Antoine. We have so many leaders.
Sherry Brown.
Wealth Builders. Sherry Brown is there. Catherine Huff. You know, we are here to welcome you to our family of gold savers and get you started. Because you have to be willing, though. You truly have to be willing to want to change your mind, to want to upgrade your mind. And Maxine and I were talking like, why is it people hesitate to want to read books? Yeah. And I told her, she started laughing. I said, I could tell you my experience, because it made my brain hurt.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Because what it is when you're not used to reading regularly, and now you're reading left to right, left to right, left to right. Your eye muscles are not strong.
They get tired.
And now you're putting them to the test. And the beautiful thing about reading a book, because see, this is how I used to try to cheat. Mr. Ty Best, I got to tell on myself. Mr. Ty Best would say, okay, I want everybody to get How to Win Friends and Influence People. Okay. So smart me, what I would do, I would download the audiobook.
Oh.
I wasn't reading it. I'm listening to it.
You're listening to it.
But when you are listening to an audiobook, Your mind is doing all kind of.
You're listening distracted. It's
Because,
not like reading.
trust me, I was never sitting there listening to it. I'm listening to it while I'm working.
So you're not really getting
When you are forced
the book.
to physically pick up a book and read,
Sit somewhere quiet and read.
to pay attention. You're forced to pay attention to what you read. And it took me about a year of being in Wealth Builders to say, okay, I guess I'm truly gonna, because I have so many books on my cell phone in my audio file that now I have the physical book, because I do have to turn the page and put a bookmark in it when I'm done. So anyway.
Well, Sheila, I was guilty of buying the books, but then I wasn't reading them. But I love what Miss Valerie Best told us. Just read 10 minutes every day. Start out like that. Now she said, don't stay there.
Exactly.
Start reading 10 minutes a day and make that commitment to do it. And then it's 15, then it's a half an hour. But that 10 minutes, just doing that, actually gets you in the exercise of reading.
One day I asked Mr. Ty Best, I said, how am I supposed to find 10 minutes to read? Now, this is our mentor. He said, you go to the bathroom, don't you?
There you go.
That's dead time. You have the book in the bathroom.
You're just sitting there.
Read it. It doesn't have to be 10 minutes all at once. Get 5 in.
5 here, 5 there.
I can get another 5.
Yeah. Somewhere you could find it.
You can find 10 minutes.
We didn't want to. You're pushing against the grain.
Maxine Jones, it has been a pleasure to see.
I love this platform. I do.
Because
I love this platform.
We can have a lot of fun while we're talking about important things.
Yeah.
Because when you think about all the people that have no direction, that's not a funny thing.
No. Or who have stopped dreaming because they just feel that they can't achieve, whatever. They just stop dreaming. And that's sad.
I want you to say the one statement that you said when we began this stream about you and having a mentor and how long it took you to get a mentor.
Oh, it took me until retirement.
Until
retirement. I had a lot of people that inspired me, but I didn't have anyone that actually mentored me until I retired. And that's actually tragic.
Yeah.
That's tragic.
So many people.
But I'm so happy now that I have great mentors.
And you know what, Miss Maxine Jones, you do not look old enough to be retired. But what I want to do is I'm closing us out, and I'm going to tell you next week's topic is retiring in America.
Oh,
retiring. Wow. Now, Miss Maxine Jones is really going to take a lot of the first chair because, see, I'm not retired. Miss Maxine Jones is retired.
Yeah.
And she has a story to tell about retiring in America. So what we want to do now for next week, we only have one open seat for next week because we have a special guest who wants to talk on that subject briefly. Her name is Miss Sheila Gober. She wants to talk about her journey on retiring in America. She was so excited. She called me up. Maxine and I were going over, the logistics of the show today. And she called me up. Hello, Miss Sheila. Okay, now what time is it tonight? And I said, Sheila, that's next week. That's next Monday. And she goes, oh, Lord. She says, because I thought it was a call, but then when I looked at the announcement on Facebook, it's a webinar. She says, I'm ready.
She wasn't ready. You got to get all gussied up.
That's right. I said, look, you have a week to get gussied up. Okay. So we like to keep these streams not too long. We don't really like to go an hour. Yeah. So that's why we only have enough
precious to us
for one more retirement in America, the real story.
Yeah.
Because we're told, by the time you're ready to retire, you're on easy street.
Yeah, the American dream.
Is that so? We want to talk about that. It has been a pleasure, Miss Maxine Jones.
I
Hey,
have enjoyed this so much. Um, we just want you to continue to come share your stories. We welcome you. We love to talk with you. And until the next time, can we chat here?
and we chat here tomorrow morning, 10:45 Eastern Time, 7:45 Pacific Time. That very story Miss Maxine Jones talked about. She
Yeah.
is the host
Yes, I
of the
moderated tomorrow
of the
morning.
Power Call. She will be moderating that call. You Facebook, jump in, see how much she's
Perfect.
improved. She is a pro now. So everyone have a wonderful evening, and it has been fun.
It's been our pleasure.
Good night.
Good night.